Welcome to Mike Ferry TV. You know, last Tuesday we had the finish of our West Coast tour. It was fun, exciting, exhausting, great. We were with 64 different organizations, Nevada, Arizona, California, Utah, and Seattle. It was a great group. We probably talked to, I'm going to guesstimate 5,000 of our great customers. Some of you were in those audiences. What I did for the entire time was I talked about the importance and understanding of why you should list property. And it's always fun to do that because a lot of the people in the audience are obviously going to work with buyers only or be showing agents. So they question me continually as to why we should list property. And of course, we debated it back and forth. We had a lot of fun. The result, of course, of that tour is virtually thousands of great people, like some of you, will be at the Superstar Retreat next week in Las Vegas. Oh, by the way, if you want to go to the retreat, you can still go. It's not too late to sign up. Call the office in Las Vegas, sign up, and hopefully see you there. One of the questions that came up a lot, and it's one of the things that we discussed a lot, was, okay, if you're going to work with a buyer, which a lot of you do, and if you're going to work with a seller, which hopefully all of you will do, we have to look at what the difference is. And my belief, you've heard me say this before, is that a person that works with buyers technically has a different skill set than a person that works with sellers. The skills of the two people are totally different. I've been propagating an idea which has gone nowhere for a long time, that when you get your license, you should have to declare, I'm going to work with buyers or I'm going to work with sellers. Why? Because what you do with these two parties is so different. It's like saying to yourself, I'm going to a brain surgeon to have foot surgery. It doesn't make any sense. So what we have to do is we have to understand that each party has a certain set of skills that they have to learn. So the obvious question that I addressed during the tour was what, of course, is the skill set of a great listing agent? And it's interesting because, you know, we know that a good portion of what we do is based on mindset and skills. Now, obviously, activities and action make a big difference. But a big part of what we do is what's going on in here. When we talk about becoming a listing agent, what kind of thoughts do you have? Are you having positive or negative? When we say to you, you got to learn to list property, what is your response internally? Because that's a mindset issue. And then once you get through that mindset issue, of course, is the obvious, which is I now have to learn the skills that these agents have to list property. It's not the same as working with a buyer. Now, not to minimize the importance of working with buyers, but let's be honest. You got a buyer, and they're highly qualified, highly motivated. You find a house, you open the door, they walk in and say they love it, they buy it in spite of the agent. In most cases, buyers have to buy property in spite of the agent. Sellers really do select an agent based on what the agent can say and what they can do. Process is totally different. So then we looked at during the tour, what is the skill set of a great listing agent? And I identified each day as we did this tour, the 5 most important of probably 20 or 30 skills that a great listing agent has. That in many cases, a showing agent, an agent with buyers, does not have or does not have to have. Either one is the case. So let's look at the skill set of a great listing agent. Obviously, number 1, I'm going to use the words lead generation because you know and I know, if I say number 1 is prospecting, click, off goes the TV. Mike, I'm not getting involved in prospecting. Okay, fine. You're not going to do prospecting. Let's get involved in lead generation. Now, I want you to think about this. How often when you show up for work, are there 4 or 5 messages handed to you, 4 or 5 emails on your computer? Are there 4 or 5 texts coming in from people saying, would you come and list my home? How often does that happen? Well, does it ever happen? Has it ever happened once? Probably to everybody it's happened once. All right, now why is that the case? Because if you're going to work with buyers, which a lot of you do, buyers have a tendency to come to a real estate company. If you're going to work with sellers, you have to go find them. See, there's a huge difference right off the bat in the lead generation side of buyers to sellers. The buyers come to you, sign calls, ad calls, walk-ins, open houses, results of some of the mailings you're doing. But with the seller, you're going to have to go find them every single time. So if you're not involved in the people side of our business and communication, you'll never do your job at a high level. And of course, under lead generation, I tell agents all the time, start it in a simple manner. Start working your database every day. Call 5 or 6 people out of your database. Who do you know that might want to sell their home? Who do you know that may want to buy a home? Do you want to sell your home? Are you interested in having another property besides the one you live in? Start with the easy calls. Well, I use what I call the 5-5-10 rule during this tour. If every day in lead generation, each of you call 5 people out of your database, you call 5 for sale by owners and expired listings, and 10 just listed, just sold calls around your transactions, you're making 20 contacts a day. Everybody watching here can do that. It takes 2 hours or less of your energy and time. You're going to be in the office hanging around real estate, 7, 8, 9 hours a day? 2 hours, which is 100 contacts a week, 400 contacts a month. Question, do you think you're going to get some good, solid leads for people that want to sell, talking to 400 people a month? Let me help you with the answer. It's yes. Now, the question that I want you to really think about and write down is, what is your hesitation with lead generation? What is your hang up on lead generation? What is your problem with lead generation? Why don't you do it? You got to look at these questions. You have to address them very carefully, or you're never going to become a great listing agent. Oh, I know you can take 2 or 3 listings a year and never, ever, ever prospect. Somehow they will come to you magically. Sit around, and they appear. But if you want to go out and do 25, 50, 75, 100 listings a year, which every one of you could do, you have to commit to the lead generation. And then we said the second skill set, very, very aggressive lead follow-up. I had some fun during the tour because most of the time our 64 tour stops in May and June revolved around great brokerage customers of ours that we work with all the time. And they would bring all their agents together, and then Sabrina and I would show up and talk to them. Well, it's interesting because under this aspect of following up on your leads, I would ask the brokers this question. How often do you get angry, hostile calls from the public saying they're trying to get you as a broker to stop your agents from being so aggressive on lead follow-up? What's the answer to that? It never happens. I've never had a broker ever say to me, oh my gosh, my agents are accused of being too aggressive. If anything, we are non-aggressive in lead follow-up. Now here's a thought. You have a lead, you have a card, you have a piece of paper. Somebody has said, I'm interested in selling my home. Aren't they in essence saying, I'm wanting to give you a commission check? I want to give you money. You sell my home, I give you money. That's what our business is all about. So here's the question. If somebody wants to give you $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, why in the world are you not aggressively following up all the time? Why are you not going after that particular couple? Why are you not trying to get them to sign a contract? Why are you trying not to get an appointment as soon as possible? Hi, Mrs. Smith, it's Mike. We chatted last week about the sale of your home. What time Friday at 3 o'clock should I come by? Well, could you come by Friday at 3 o'clock? Good idea. Okay, see, what have you got to lose? So I'm going to challenge you, okay, between now and next week, take every single lead you have, call them all and ask them 2 questions. A, do you still have to sell your home? If they say yes, B, what day this week should we get together? Hi, do you still want to sell your home? No, we decided not to. Thank you. Rip it in half, throw it away. If they say yes, what day can we get together? That's aggressive lead follow-up. How many people do you have sitting in your computer, on your desk, in your pocket, in a file that want to give you a commission check because we're not aggressive? What's the opposite of aggressive? Passive. Think about this. Walk in a listing presentation and say to the seller, the one advantage of going with me is I'm really passive. They're going to list with somebody else. They're looking for an aggressive agent. I want you to think about this. How often do you lose listings because you're too aggressive? And the answer is 0. Let's become more aggressive. The third key skill of a great listing agent is, of course, pre-qualifying. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm always confused by the fact that most agents simply are afraid to call an appointment they have and pre-qualify. What does a doctor do? Pre-qualify. What does an attorney do? Pre-qualify. What does the pilot on the plane do? Pre-qualify. What does everybody do except for realtors? Pre-qualify. Guys and gals, If you ask your wife to go to dinner, you're going to pre-qualify. Does she want to? Where does she want to go? What does she feel like eating? I mean, this is just a standard procedure in life. Why then do we avoid it? And the answer is we don't pre-qualify because we are so afraid that they may not want to sell their home. And as a result, we back off and then show up not knowing their motivation. Skill number 4, probably the most important, and we'll talk about it virtually for weeks now. The ability to make a great presentation. How good are you at presenting yourself? Can you make a compelling argument with the seller why they should list with you? If you can't make a compelling argument, guess what? They list with somebody else. So how compelling is your argument? How good are you at presenting? I mean, are you practiced? Are you rehearsed? Are you prepared? Do you walk in there with one purpose to get a contract signed because you're going to do a great job for that seller? And then, of course, skill number 5 is the most obvious, handling their objections. It's kind of fun. I kidded almost every day by saying to the group, now tonight, here in the office, we've invited 100 local people that want to sell their home. And I'm going to do a seminar for them. And I'm going to teach them all the objections they should give you when you're on a listing presentation. And the sellers have learned their scripts. They know what to say to you. Why can't we learn ours? Now let's be honest. Are the objections really new? Aren't they really the same? They've been around forever. I want you to cut your commission. I've got a friend in the business. I want to compare companies. We're going to interview 4 agents for the sale of our home. We want to price up here. You want to list it down here. These are standard. These are common. These are as old as dirt. Learn the answers. Well, think about this. How long, if you made the commitment today, okay, here we are, okay, the first part of July, how long would it take to really master these 5 skills? Could you do it in 6 months? And if you did, what would 2016 be like for you? Master the skills of a great listing agent, develop the skill set, and get the results they get. I know you can do it. You know you can do it. Talk to you next week.